And we joined two players. One is a footballer and the other is a rugby player. We have Ronald Okoth, of course, who's played for about 8 Kenyan Premier League clubs. Ronald, I'll start with you. You've just listened in to what the FKF president has stated. You've played professionally in Kenya. How difficult is it for a professional footballer in Kenya? Most people don't really understand. Just give us a summary of how difficult it is being pro in Kenya.
Well, first of all, thanks for hosting me today. And on to your question, I think in order to play in the Kenya Premier League, you have to be ready both mentally and physically.
Right.
Because there are a lot of challenges. And again, sometimes it takes luck. Because you can see some of our clubs, they actually don't really pay well. Some actually don't.
Just give us a salary range of a professional Kenyan player.
Well, I think it also depends on the club. Okay. Also depends on the player. If you're high caliber, if you have a good profile, you're definitely destined to earn more. But if you're still starting, definitely have to earn the peanuts.
I like how you're playing safe. Just a range. Just give us a range.
Yeah, but I think, okay, maybe what I can say is I think things are improving because currently we see players earning over even 200K, 300K. So I think things are really improving. But again, it depends on the club and the type of player who's coming on board.
Right.
Yeah.
What would be your recommendations to improve the livelihood of professional footballers in the country?
Basically, we've been lacking in terms of organizational factors. I think as a footballer, all those years I've played 13 years in the Kenya Premier League, I think we need to put our organizational factors in place, and that starts with the federation, working hand in hand with the government. I mean, we need to have trained technical personnel coming into a league. You know, our coaches need to be trained, our players need to learn from the best. We need to invite more foreign coaches to share with us their knowledge. I mean, look at the infrastructures. I mean, we are still lacking in some of those things.
Right.
Equipment. For example, if you look at the Maghreb clubs in North Africa,
right.
These are clubs that are generating almost $12 million every year. I mean, Zamalek, Al Ahly, Wydad Casablanca. And I feel it's something that we can also do back here at home, but only if we put our organizational factors in place. Yeah.
Okay, right. Joshua Chisange, you managed to play professionally in Europe, in the United Kingdom and in Poland, somewhere where the structure of what is just spoken about. Give us your own observation. You've played locally and you've played internationally. What do they get right in terms of how they treat their players, especially in terms of welfare?
Well, transparency, just to start with, because you get what you're told you get, first of all, and they don't beat about the bush.
What do you mean by that?
By everything is contracted, right? It's not, rugby, football in Kenya is doing a bit better than rugby, because, with club rugby in the country, it's allowances per weekend, per week, per training. If you don't play, you might not be as lucky as to get an allowance anyway, you know what I mean? Whereas abroad, it's not the same thing. If you sign a contract, it's up to them to pick you to play. If you don't make it, at the end of the month, you still get your money. You understand? Maybe the only difference would be the game, the win bonuses and such like. If you didn't play, obviously you're not entitled to the win bonus. But whereas here, even that win bonus might or not come.
Right.
Then again, depends on the club as well and the player, because rugby has improved over the years since my debut. It's improved, whereas you can make a living, you can sort some of the bills out just playing rugby.
Okay.
All right.
Let me just interject briefly, because you're saying you can make a living, but to some extent you can't. It's a bit difficult, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of rugby players, including yourself, have been forced to look at alternative sources of income. Yeah,
100%. Coming back from a professional league, you come back here, you can't really expect the clubs here to meet the standards that you're used to internationally, for example. So you have to open your mind to new skills. For example, use your skills, the skills that you earn, that you learn along the way to maybe start a business.
Right.
Which is what I did. I teamed up with a good mate of mine, and we started a sports consultancy where we train athletes to be the best they can be, and hopefully in the future, just still working on it, represent them. So, that's one way of improving the sport, doing it ourselves, because we see what we lack,
right,
and we can make a difference.
You can make a difference.
We can't just wait for the top people to make the difference. It can start with us.
Thank you, Josh. Of course, Yvonne, the key talking point there is think outside the box, aside from the fact that, yes, you're a professional player in whichever discipline, but you have to try as much as possible. Perhaps you're interested in maybe asking something from these two gentlemen.
I mean, I think, it was interesting when you said, you get what you get and what's happening, internationally versus locally. What's the experience, I think, with the sort of education that sports players get regarding financial,
right?
What sort of, because, it's a good sport, you make money, you're on top. How do you handle that?
Okay. Ronald?
Yeah, if I can answer that, I think it's something that we've been lacking back here at home. If you look at most players, I think once we are through the playing phase. We've actually seen stories of players, going into turmoil because of their life.
It cuts across all disciplines.
It cuts across. So personally, myself, I think I started my own organization called Roads to Goals, whereby we are trying to mentor and also inspire some of these players. And those are some of the programs that we have in place, trying to, offer them financial and business advisory. And there's no better time to plan for your life after football while you're still playing. And I think going by maybe in the next few years, those are some things that we'll be addressing. And I'm hoping even the federation will be coming on board so that we can it can be a program that can be rolled out in the whole country, because I mean players definitely need to be sensitized in just getting ready for their life or the next phase after football. Yeah.
Josh.
Well, yeah. As I said before, you pick up skills along the way, right? For example, at the Falcons, they enroll you in school and they help you pay for it. So people are taught how to be coaches, conditioning coaches, which is what we kind of did. And so we started 48 Shred, and this is what's putting food on the table currently. Because imagine during this pandemic, nobody's paying you to be a sports person,
right?
Especially here right now. You're not contracted, and you still have to eat, you still have to live. And if you didn't think outside the box, as you said, using the sport that you play, you'd be in trouble. So yeah, we're not taught much here about what to do
financial
after rugby.
management.
Yeah,
okay.
Because there's no much to manage even. You understand?
Okay.
It's weekend to weekend.
Weekend to weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joshua. Of course, it's important to appreciate, Yvonne, that COVID-19 has really disrupted sports globally as well as here in Kenya. And I think it's just how you're able to reinvent yourself, recalibrate yourself to ensure that you remain relevant, and you can also to make ends meet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good to see you both. Joshua, I'll see you back at the gym. I'm making a comeback. We go to the same gym. I just thought I'd had to put that in there. Just in case you all are wondering whether this is a foreign concept to me. No, once in a while. We play on the other side as well. Thank you, Ndong.